Welcome back, CSE 3200 Yukon Stores. I'm going to do Hello World. I'm going to do it in a couple of sections. On class number 2, I got through what I would say is chapter 11. After that, I think I go back to chapter 1 to wrap up Hello World. Now, why I skip ahead, chapter 11 is actually a nice segue from taking the tour because we use a lot of the graphics. We pay attention to the editor more than we probably did chapters 1 through 10, whichever ones we cover, whichever ones we skip. And it's nice, easy, fun one too. So in this video, we're going to do constraint view or Hello World. We are going to get something that looks like this. In the next video, or the next series of videos where we head back to chapter 1, we're going to wire up these views so it actually runs and functions. First, let me open up a new program. So I'm going to go File, New Project, and I'm going to select the one over here, Empty Views Project, hit Next, and I'm going to call this something very similar to what I did in class. That would be Hello World F24. The difference between the two, there was an underscore between the D and the F in class, no big deal. I mentioned in class the other things on the screen. I'm going to skip that in this video. If this is the only thing that you see or you can't remember and you want to know, just ask. All right, we finish. That is going to pop up in a new window. So I'm going to go over here and all right, so with my other project, I did this manually. I tried a project on my desktop in my office. I did it automatically. It also seemed to be working just fine. So I'm going to try automatically here with you guys. And I'm going to pause because this takes a little while to run the Gradle. So I'll see you in a minute. Looks like everything's working just fine. It took maybe a minute to get that done. 1 minute, 4 seconds, so it wasn't my imagination. All right, if I land on this screen, I don't really need it today. In class, I talked about a little of what was going on that screen, but I'm going to skip it for this video. And I'm going to be dealing mostly with activity_main XML. It starts off in design view, and I could switch it to just code. I could switch it to split. And I don't really need this window taking up some of my space, so I can toggle that out of the way. So I mentioned in class a couple, I think 3 ways that I could delete Hello World. Let's see, I want to, I was paying attention to this code before I deleted it, didn't see what I wanted to talk about, so that's fine. So I'm going to delete this. I can just hit that box, hit delete. If that doesn't work, you can right-click on it, select delete, and now it's gone away. And over the code, over here in the code, you could see that that is now gone. I'm going to hit Control-Z to get that back. And OK, so I need it gone. I want it gone. But I'm going to do something else before I delete that. A bit of an accident. It's the way I did it in class, not on purpose, but here I'm doing it on purpose. I'm going to keep that Hello World. All right, so I want the palette open. In the past, I swear that I could not see the palette unless I was in pure design mode, but I can see it here. It just takes a bit more space. So I want to drag in 3 things, and I'm going to do it a little bit different order than I did it in class. I'm going to do it the order that you would see it on the screen that you may have seen at the very beginning of this video, which would be the text view first. So I'm going to drag that guy in. The next thing I'll drag in, well, I'm not going to drag it in just yet. Now that I've dragged that in, I'm going to take a moment to delete this guy right here. So I showed one way to delete it. Here's another way to delete it. We can just select this text and delete the text, and now that's gone. OK, note that I have an error here, and I didn't before. I will cover that shortly. All right, so I'm going to come back over here. And the next thing I want is my edit text. It's not one of the common views. We're going to find it under text, and we're not going to find it under edit text. We're going to find it under plain text. So take plain text and drag it in. And last thing is buttons, and I can go back to common or I can go to button. Under buttons you find a bunch of different button options, but I just want a basic button. I'm just going to drag it in somewhere around there. Doesn't matter. Okay, so all of these have the very same error. If I hover over one of them for a second, there we go, this view is not constrained. It only has design time position, so it's going to jump to 0, 0 at runtime unless you add constraints. All right, so we're going to add constraints. Maybe I can go to full design view for this, and I don't need the palette anymore, so I can hide the palette. Let's start off with the text view. Select the text view, and when you do, you get a box with 4 circles. Those are my anchors, okay? Click on the top one, and then drag it to the top of the screen. You're going to see it snap. All right, now let's bring back split screen and take a look at the code here. We get this new line of code, layout constraint top to top of parent. All right, so this widget, which is just a generic name for this text box, it's inside of this view. The view itself is the parent. So this is the top of the parent, and this is the top of the widget. Go bottom to bottom. So select the bottom anchor of the text view and drag it to the bottom of the screen. And what it does is it snaps to the middle. Let's see, if I select text view again, I want to, it did it for a second, but then my mouse must have moved. I want to see both of those constraints kind of the same, just so I can point to them. Okay, so we've got 2 constraints, and it's snapped to the middle. And that's just like tension on a rubber band. The first time I pulled it and tied it to the top, and it snapped to the top. Okay, next time up, it is going to have a rubber band tied to the bottom, and it's going to start to pull it down to the bottom. Since the tension is even on both sides, it tends towards the center. If I take this left and go to left, it snaps to the left. Go right to right, and it snaps to the right. Now I said left and right, but take a look at the code over here. The top and the bottom say top and bottom, but the left and right don't say left and right, okay? So left is start, right is end. Take a look at one of these lines of code, end to end, okay? End of me, the text view, to the end of what? The parent. Okay, now this doesn't look like that first screen I showed you. This would have been a bit to the top, so I'm going to drag that to the top. Now I did this on purpose, just so that I can say, take a look at your code, see if something looks a little off. Now when I drug this over, it was a little bit to the right. I accidentally did that once, but I did come over here immediately and say, does my code look okay? And I saw that it had a horizontal bias. This code generated automatically from me dropping the graphic over here. It gave me a horizontal bias and a vertical bias. I want to get rid of this horizontal bias. I wanted it in the center. So that was sort of on purpose. So I could show you, always take a look at your code to see if it's what you expected. Okay, I think this guy is absolutely fine. We have now gone from 4 errors to 3. I see 2 red marks here, and I see 2 things that still have problems. These have the same problems. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little something different with the edit text. So select the edit text box, select the top anchor, and go to the bottom anchor of the text view. It snaps up a little higher than I wanted. I'll leave it there for a second. Now, it still has an error. Hover and read it, and you're going to find that it's not the same message that you had before. This view is not constrained horizontally. At runtime, it's going to jump to the left unless you add a horizontal constraint. The point being is that in order for these constraints to not have errors, you need at least 1 horizontal and 1 vertical constraint. So I'm going to constrain that guy to the left, and then I can move it down a little bit to the right. And I think that looks okay. I'm going to leave that there for now. That error has gone away. I am now down to 2 errors. I see 1 red mark, and I see 1 underline. Even in class, I did not get to what that 1 error was. What we'll see in this video, or we'll see next class. All right, for the button, let's go top of the button to the bottom of the edit text. Let's make this go a little bit more towards the center. Let's go bottom to bottom. Let's go start to start and end to end. And let's move this guy up a little bit. Let's check over here to see. Well, this time I did not do it on purpose, but see, I have a horizontal bias. It is, it's not perfectly centered. So I'm going to delete that. And you saw it moved just a little bit. I could not detect that with the naked eye, but this is going to save me from running it and going, oh, that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so this is kind of where we ended in class. I still have the 1 error, and I think I'm going to take care of that next time. All right, so next time we'll fix that error, and we will get this thing to actually run and work. All right, I'll see you in that next video.